Hello and welcome to Dasmore Wargaming. I'm Daz, as always, and I'm joined by Rich. Hi, Rich.
Hello.
And I'm joined by super special guest, Quipster. Hi, Quipster.
Well, hello there.
Yeah, thank you for being on. It's awesome to have you. I've got a few questions for you, actually. And I posted this on Instagram, and I've had some questions come through. But if I may, I just want to kick off with one. Why Quipster?
That's a good question.
Oh god, I really wish it was a cool, fun story, but literally, do you guys ever listen to Childish Gambino?
No.
Okay, so do you know who he is?
I have heard of him, yeah.
Okay, so for people out there who don't know, Childish Gambino is a hip hop artist over in the States. His actual name, he's an actor as well, is Donald Glover. And basically, he was trying to come up with his hip hop rap name. And what he did was he went on a hip hop name generator.
Right.
And I was just like, that is genius. So I did the same.
Oh, man.
And I went on a rap name generator. And I was just like, right, okay, what's good? And I kept on clicking the button until it came up with something Quipster. And I was just like, Quipster. Ah, okay, I like this. Okay, I'll stick with Quipster.
That's a good story. I wish I'd have done that.
Well, yeah. I mean, basically, the reason I did that in the first place was because I was doing some other YouTube stuff, and I didn't want to use my real name.
Mm-hmm.
Not for security reasons or anything, but just because my real name is Alex.
Right.
And how many Alexes are there in the hobby?
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair enough.
Many
No, it's a cool name. I just thought, where's that come from? It's just to get that out there. Now, I say, if anyone doesn't already, I go over and check out your Instagram, obviously, and you're on Twitter as well.
I never use my Twitter, so the best place if you want to interact with me is Instagram.
So Instagram
at Quipster Nerd.
Yeah.
And also I do some stuff on YouTube.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I do loads of stuff in loads of places, honestly. So I'm part of the Conclave podcast.
Mm-hmm.
You can find us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and all of that. Yeah. I also do my own interview show on deploymentzone.tv called The Fireside Chat. What else do I do? I have Instagram where I post stuff all the time, and a YouTube channel, which is all just called Quipster Nerd.
And I'll try and link as many of those in the description as well. So we'll do that. And just want to say hi to Silver Paints, who's in the chat. Hi.
Aww.
Thanks for thanks for tuning in.
Hello.
So yeah. So I've obviously seen anyone that sort of sees your social media stuff will know that you're definitely into your 40k.
Yeah, just a bit.
So I always try and see, you get a good sense of what someone's like, have they got a mixture of all the different game systems? Are they leaning towards one slightly? But it's safe to say you're definitely Warhammer 40,000 through and through.
Yes.
That's it,
I mean, I don't know if you can see on the screen, but I'm actually wearing a Custodians t-shirt. Right
there we go. Yes.
I'm strangely disappointed.
No, Rich, you can't be disappointed at that.
It's actually so comfy. This is the official one from the Warhammer merch store.
Yeah.
It's so well fitted.
Yeah.
Honestly.
They are really good, actually.
Yeah, I got.
Yeah, I know, right?
I got a Chaos Dwarf one, and I know exactly what you mean. They're really, really cool. They fit really nice. But so this will be interesting. I'll learn a lot today, I think, because I'm primarily an AOS player and sort of a Middle-earth player.
Interesting.
Although I started on 40k, but as of the last few years, I've drifted away a little bit. But I'm still sort of.
Can I ask why?
Just because there's so much, Games Workshop pump out so much stuff that I just love.
Okay.
And our local community is a lot more AOS, and I'm better at AOS for whatever reason it is. List building and strategy, I'm better at AOS, and I get more pleasure out of playing the game because of that.
I see. No, I totally get you.
So
this is going to be a bit of a learning experience for me as well, because I am just about to start a Lumineth army.
Oh, Rich, what do you think of elves?
I'm not doing that again.
Is he about to call me a dirty
bastard? No, he's not. But
no. I just play dwarves.
No, basically, Rich plays dwarves, and
I see.
So on one stream, I randomly asked him what he thought of elves. The video's on YouTube, actually. It's a very short one. But he basically all he said was, "I hate them," and I said, "Why don't you like them?" And he said, "Oh, unless they're in Blood Bowl." But I just made it all censored beeped, so it sounded like he was going absolutely like mental about being asked, "What do you think of elves?" Oh, who's this? Paint Party Scott says, "Gosh, that COVID facial fuzz came in beautifully, Alex."
Oh God, yeah. So actually, so I don't know if you guys have ever listened to the Conclave podcast, but one of the guys I do it with is my friend Ed, the Sandman.
Right.
And he said to me the other day, like, "Oh, dude, I haven't seen you with a beard almost ever." And I was just like, "What? How is that possible? Like, I've been growing a beard I've had to shave since I was 12." So like, it's like a general like Indian people thing. We're a hairy people,
right?
And so like, yeah, I was just genuinely shocked, and so I was just like, "Oh, well, some of my closest friends haven't seen me with a beard. I guess I should grow one for a little bit."
Well, there we go.
I caught COVID annoyingly just before Christmas. And so, yeah, I've been growing it since I've been in my lockdown and isolation. So this is 10 days worth. So yeah, Paint Party Scott, this is my grizzled, I have not been well enough to actually have a proper shave look.
So before I actually forget and disappoint a load of people, we'll go through some questions that have been posted to me through social media, if you don't mind. So our first one is, what's your favourite army that's not one you have?
Oh God. I was prepping. I was just like, I'm wearing a custodian t-shirt.
Let's do a two-part question then, just because I'm intrigued as well. Like, so what's your favourite army that you don't have? But what armies do you have?
Okay, so we'll start with what I do have first. So I have Custodes, and the color scheme for them is sort of a different, my own take on the Shadowkeepers scheme. Instead of the red, I've got the purple. Okay, and cool. They are my primary army, my pride and joy. That's the army I got back into the hobby with. And on top of that, I have quite a lot, actually way more of this than my Custodes. I also have Imperial Fists. Yeah. Now, obviously I started with the Custodes, and I love everything about the Custodes. Their lore, their models, the way the army plays, everything about them I love. Whereas the Imperial Fists, the reason I first got into Imperial Fists was, I don't know if you guys would remember, but do you guys know who Liam Dempsey is?
Yeah.
Okay. So Liam Dempsey is one half of DeploymentZone.tv, a content streaming service of Warhammer. That's him and Winter's SEO.
Yes.
And back in the day, I got to know Liam quite well, and he invited me to do like some bat reps and some film content with him. And basically, after that, he was just like, "Oh, dude, I'm putting together a team for at the time, his YouTube channel was called Morehammer." And he was like, "Oh, I want you on Team Morehammer." I was just like, "Hells yeah, that sounds awesome." And so this was kind of around the time where the Space Marine supplement books started coming out. And Liam's idea was each one of us on Team Morehammer would pick a chapter, and we would each have that chapter to do bat reps on the channel. Brom already had Ultramarines, Warsmith Chris was going to do Salamanders, and I had just had a bit of a mess around with contrast paints that had just come out. And I thought, right, I really love this Ironed in Yellow. I can do Imperial Fists. And so I started an Imperial Fist army.
Wow.
And my Imperial Fist army doesn't make any sense at all. Because it's primarily Phobos Marines.
Okay.
Okay, that's a bit different.
Yeah, it's a bit different. It just doesn't make any sense at all. And the reason it's all Phobos Marines is because Liam has this tendency. He is the biggest hobby magpie I've ever seen in my life. He'll literally sit down and be like, "Oh God, I'm really loving these Marines," and he'll buy 4,000 points of Marines, put together about 2,000 points of it, not paint it, not undercoat it, and go, "Oh no, I'm bored of this." And then he'll buy 2,000 points of Necrons, and then another 2,000 points of Nids, and as he builds up stuff, he'll be like, "Oh, dude, I don't need these Marines anymore. I've moved on to a different army. Do you want this extra stuff I've got lying around?" And he just happened to have like 40 Phobos Marines. He was like, "Here, do you want these?" I was like, "Yeah, if they're going."
Wow.
He's like, yeah, just take them. So I just ended up with the most random assortment of Marines ever, and a Hammerfall bunker.
Damn. Yeah. Wow. So you've got quite a sizable Imperial Fist force then.
Yes. Amusingly, I think I have almost more Space Marine characters than I do Custodes infantry models.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So yeah, those are my two armies that I have.
Cool.
And then now armies that I want but don't have. Okay, so are we strictly...
I don't have to answer this.
It's hard, right?
I guess it's not, you're not limited to Warhammer 40,000 either here.
Oh,
right. Okay. So
now
we're wish listing.
It's not specified. It's just favorite army that's not one you have. So I mean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's do this. I've got so many different answers for this.
Okay. Intrigued.
So, number one, I am actually this coming year, I have committed to starting a Night Lords army.
Oh.
And I don't know if you guys know this, or how much research you've done into me, but I keep a record of all of the books that I've read on a website called Goodreads.com. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it.
Yeah.
So I love Goodreads. It's amazing. And I read everything on my Kindle, so it all integrates really well. And so I've kept a track of all of the Warhammer 40k novels that I've read, and I've read about 180 of them.
Right.
Which is quite a lot. And so a big part of me really delving into that was the Horus Heresy, obviously, and also the Night Lords Omnibus. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever read the Night Lords Omnibus.
It's on the list.
Oh my God. Bump it up the list. Seriously. It is fantastic because it was a part of the lore, the Night Lords, that no one had ever really properly delved into because they were kind of one of those chapters or legions, that everyone's a bit like, it's not the Blood Angels, so we're not going to give this that much attention. And what they did with these guys was they made them interesting. The Night Lords are probably one of the most well-written legions there is. Conrad Kurz, their Primarch, is probably the best written Primarch as well, but also more importantly, they are the most consistently written Legion and Primarch. And if you look at, say, Guilliman, this is so bad, especially for the Lion. The Lion is written so inconsistently, and it's really frustrating because you look at his stories and you look at his lore, and you're like, oh my God, you should be fantastic. And then you read the stories that he's in, and they're all crap. Wow. And you're just like, why have they done you dirty like this? This is so awful. The only good book with Lionel Johnson in it is either the stuff where he's a sub-character, like Unremembered Empire, or his Primarch novel. His Primarch novel is fantastic.
Right.
But, he's just not been written very well. Whereas Conrad Kurz, written so well and so consistently. I actually... Okay, one thing that I'm going to do throughout all of this is just name drop, like, quite famous people in the community I know, because I've had these conversations with them.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
So I had a long chat with Winters about this. And Winters was just like, one of the big reasons why Conrad Kurz is so consistently written is because he's effing crazy. Like, he's an actual lunatic. And so it's a really easy basis for people to, like, have a jumping off point to write about him. And it just so happens that everyone that has written about him has been a great author. yeah, the same cannot necessarily be said for some of the other Primarchs and Legions, which is where you get a lot of very inconsistent writing,
Right.
Which is a shame. So there's a really roundabout way of me saying that Night Lords would be top of this list.
Yes.
Because I'm about to do them.
Yes.
I've always liked that dark blue color scheme as well.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. I guess Lumineth Realm Lords are up there.
Yes, I have the Lumineth Realm Lords. They came when the army came out. It had that box with the Light Autharion and some other stuff in it.
Yeah,
I have that box.
Cool.
And so that's been sitting on my shelf since I bought it. And since then they've had another. It's not called a codex. It's a battle tome.
Yeah.
That's the one. They've had another battle tome. So I'm just like, oh, for God's sake. So yes, that is next on the list.
It's okay because I say you've got the battle tome that came in the box. So if you were like interested in like the lore and background and stories and stuff, if you looked into the Broken Realms books series, they're really, really, really good stories in those.
Right.
And the update to your old battle tome, like anything that's new, is in that book also.
Okay.
It means having another book, but you do get like awesome like lore on the build up to 3rd edition.
Nice.
So yeah,
okay.
Either way, really. So you could look at it as you haven't got a book that's not usable anymore, and you've got to buy a whole new battle tome. I don't know.
Yeah, this is the thing. I don't mind buying new books because I really enjoy codexes for the lore as much as anything else.
Yeah.
Because one of my big goals when I was doing my Imperial Fists was I want them to all have the correct chapter markings. Mm-hmm. I want them all to have like the correct structure. And so like when the Imperial Fist supplement book came out, I was like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. Mm-hmm. Because I'm thinking to myself like, oh, now I'm doing the Imperial Fist 5th company. I know what their structure would be like. I know what squads they would have. I know, what their captain is called. Yeah. So I really like following that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah,
so, I don't mind
if you're looking into like doing AOS anyway, and the Lumineth especially, then I would say that the whole series of the Broken Realms books are just amazing. It's amazing storytelling. Like
yeah,
okay.
I got the last 2, and I actually prefer those to some of the 40k books they brought out recently.
Yeah,
where nothing seems
There's
to happen.
Lot of crap 40k books, I'm not gonna lie.
When you release that much though, it's like there's bound to be some stuff there that's not great.
Actually,
no, it's just there's 40k. There seems to be a lot of not very much happening at the moment.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like I mean, I could go on some serious rants right now about like bits of the 40k lore. The 2 examples come to mind. There's the latest Dawn of Fire series. I don't know if you guys have seen that. No, but basically, so basically, the Dawn of Fire series is the start of the Indomitus Crusade, and the sort of adventures that happen during that, and it's just bad. Like, I read some of it, and one of the ones I read was Gate of Bones, I think. And, okay, spoiler alert for anyone who's not read it. I was just like, this is bad. This is just awful. Like, it's... okay, I'm really trying not to give any spoilers. But every single person in that story was just like, just not very well written. Mm. Like, one of the things I really like, and this is one of the things that happens in the Night Lords Omnibus, is they really explore what it means to be a Night Lord.
Yeah.
Because essentially, and Aaron Dembski-Bowden has said this, he wrote the book, he has said this in interviews, Chaos Space Marines are losers. They are deluded, they are hypocrites, and they literally lost. Mm. And so, what does that do to us, the psyche of a Space Marine, when they've lost all of the, foundation of brotherhood their psyche is based on? Like that kind of thing. And so Aaron Dembski-Bowden really goes
Sorry,
into...
dude. So
I can see the chat.
Lord of Chaos.
Just all massive losers.
We are losers.
It is true. And so, like, what does that do to the psyche of a legion? And that's really well explored in both the Black Legion series and in the Night Lords Omnibus. It really goes into that. What does it mean to be a Night Lord? What does it mean to be a Chaos Space Marine? And that is exactly the opposite of what they do in Gate of Bones. They do not explore what it means to be a Primaris Marine. Because that's a really interesting concept. Like, these Primaris Marines, they're supposed to be the replacements of the Firstborn. And yet, in the books, they just kind of don't address that at all.
No.
And I'm just like, but those are all the most interesting interactions. Or like, there's a bit with some custodians.
Yeah.
And I can see someone said, "Oh, must be that one wound."
He's a bit on the bitter side about that. Still.
Oh, indeed. See, oh god, and we're gonna flex now again. This is something I have to be quite careful about because I'm also a playtester, so I know everything that's upcoming.
Yes.
So when people say stuff like this, I have to be like, ha, 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 and no, I can't say anything.
Yeah, be very careful.
Literally.
Yes.
But I will say my playtesting cell, we mainly focus on Crusade and narrative stuff, and so all I can say is it's all fantastic. Play some Crusade, it's awesome. But yes, what was I saying? Yes, Gate of Bones doesn't delve into what it means to be a Primaris Marine, and it also doesn't delve into anything to do with sort of like the deeper mysteries of what it means to be a custodian. And the custodians play a really prominent part in the story. And it's just, it really frustrates me when they're just like, here's a book, Bolter's brother, Bolter fire. You're just like, oh god, this is just boring.
It's one thing I like about the Space Wolf books about Ragnar Blackmane. They go into a lot more detail about how a Space Wolf is made, and it's
because I enjoyed all the Dark Elder books that they did, like the Path of books.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Those good.
Yeah, I enjoyed them, but I was like a massive Dark Elder nerd, so like it's the army that I started in, like when I started 40k, in like '99, I think.
Oh wow.
So like 3rd edition box set type thing. Yeah, so I like just got those anyway. I was like, I don't usually read a lot, if I'm honest. I'm not a big like reader, like, but I went into it and it just sort of grabbed me, and it was like, so I just love the faction, so, and I like loved like characters like Vect and stuff, who needs to come back. I'm not going to go on a rant, but you can't keep mentioning Vect and not bring him.
I mean, okay, I would have disagreed with you before 9th edition, because as soon as they brought back the Silent King, like, I was like, oh, okay, they've just brought essentially the god of the Necrons back, or the Emperor of the Necrons. I guess anything goes now.
Yeah, I mean,
so, yeah,
I do joke a little bit, because to be honest, lore-wise, it doesn't make sense for Vect to come back to be on a battlefield. He's got so many people to do his bidding. Like, why is he gonna? The only reason he's survived this long is by not making himself vulnerable. Like, he just gets people to do everything for him. Like, he just sits in his throne. Like, he's not just gonna like attend a battlefield. He's not like a noble character. He's not like the hero of the day. Like, I'll lead the charge, or so. Like, I just can't see how he fits on a battlefield. That's the issue with him, I think.
Yeah.
But hey,
I know exactly what you're saying. Also, his previous model with the slave girls was a little bit not okay.
I have that model. It took me so long to find it. Like, because when it was actually out, I couldn't afford it. There was no way, like, on pocket money.
Oh yeah.
And then he went away, and now when it got to a point where I could actually spend money on it, it was just ludicrous money. But I treated myself to a boxed one, like still in the shrink wrap. So I was like, yes, please.
Well, wow. I had a similar thing recently, actually. So do you guys know the Empress Champion model, where he's holding the sword out in front of him?
Yeah,
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, with the two-handed pose. So I always wanted that model, like always. It was a stunning model, and I always loved the look of it. And so I actually said that on an episode of the Conclave. And someone sent me one.
Wow.
And like I've still got it. Like he sent me this whole. He had like a scroll in the box as well. He was just like, "Thanks for all the stuff you make. Like I hope you like strip this and paint it really well." Blah, blah, blah. I was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing!"
Mm-hmm.
So like this is one of the big reasons I love this community. Like,
yeah,
everyone's so like supportive like that. It's genuinely amazing.
Yeah,
and I can't wait to paint that model. Also, I have just massively taken a detour from this question. I actually do have another answer.
Oh, really? There's another answer to that one. I was just about to go, all right, on to the next question. No, go on.
No. So, in terms of like armies that I would absolutely love to have, and this is sort of delving into another game system, I have already said this to a couple of people. As soon as Battlefleet Gothic is a thing, I'm straight in.
No,
so am I.
Like 100%. Like, I have always loved naval history. I've always loved naval combat. I love Battlestar Galactica. And so, like, as soon as they bring out, like, a game with spaceships, yeah, that's me straight in there. Like, immediately.
See, we have this conversation. There's a lot of people that say that in our, like, local community. And I'm always the one that... I don't think it'll ever happen, but I want Inquisitor back.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah. Do you want Inquisitor back at the 50mm scale, or would you be happy with 32?
Yeah, like the original.
You've
like,
got to have it.
The bigger scale
scale.
Yeah.
Interesting, because I can genuinely see Inquisitor coming back at 32mm scale.
Yeah.
But at 50,
I think it's just a bit of an ask, but you know, especially when they could redo games like Battlefield Gothic or you know. Other things, you know.
I'll go back really far back into the catalogue and bring back Manowar.
Yeah.
Did anyone ever play that?
No, but I like the look of the model.
But yes,
I mean, I'll take Battlefield Gothic over that.
Yeah.
I like both.
So, the next question allows you to do some name dropping.
Ooh, okay, let's do this.
Idol in the hobby.
Oh God, this is hard. Because I know them all now. I mean, Damn and Blast.
It's fine. Go for it. It's fine.
So, people I look up to in the hobby, I can name 3 or 4 off the top of my head, but all for very different reasons. So, number 1, I've got to say Liam. Liam Dempsey, 100%, because I don't think many people really know this. But Liam is so pivotal and so instrumental in the community, especially the content creation community, behind the scenes. And no one really knows that because he's like the whole time he's been creating content, he's always had like a full-time job. So he's never been able to like really get out there with the ideas that he's got. But he's the person putting people together. He's the person like putting this creator in the same room as this creator, and then they'll go and make a thing.
Right.
He's almost like the puppet master behind the scenes. He's so well connected and he's such a force for good in the community. And it's amazing to just like watch that and sort of like feed off that.
Yeah.
And in many ways, like he gave me the platform on which I built all of the stuff that I do. So like this in the first place, like this is how we became friends. Like we're both massive camera nerds and like we both watch all the same like videography, camera, YouTube channels like Peter McKinnon, Casey Neistat, Matty Hapoya, all those guys. And so like we would always talk about like, oh, you know, I'd love to get this kit and make this stuff. And he's always been like an inspiration to me because I've always like fed off his energy.
Yeah.
His like passion for the community and his passion to create stuff. And he's such a good guy, honestly. So Liam, absolutely number 1. Number 2, I probably got to say Stephen Box. Yeah, definitely Steve. Because, again, Steve, I think, is quite a misunderstood guy. Like, he is very much sort of like the spear tip of the competitive community. And I think that comes with a lot of negative connotations from a lot of people. I think... a lot of people look at the competitive 40k community and they're like, oh, it's toxic, or like they'll have a lot of preconceptions. And I think with Steve as well, looking the way that he does, like he's a very conventionally attractive guy who's a former competitive fitness model and bodybuilder.
Right.
Like, he looks like a typical jock. And I think that comes again with a lot of negative connotations. And getting to know him like really well, actually, what I've realized is that he brings to the community a level of sportsmanship and a level of just building a community that I think he doesn't get enough credit for.
Yeah.
Like, there are things that I can kind of barely mention that I know that he's done for the game, because he's one of the principal playtesters in the country. His attitude towards the game is second to none. Like, the things that he has done to help balance the game, he will never get credit for, because he's not allowed to talk about it and no one else is either. But I know for a fact that he has done things to help balance the game that have helped so many people. And on top of that, his ethos of sportsmanship that comes from an essentially pro sports background is like a thing that a lot of people in the community like can aspire to.
Yeah.
Like, he has set out a lot of the rules of sportsmanship that the community needed, quite frankly, and he has led the way on that. And so I take a lot of inspiration for like how I should act at the table, you know, from the things that he's said and done. Yeah. So yeah, definitely Stephen Box is my number 2. And then number 3, I would probably say Winters. Like, sure. Winters is an absolute lunatic. I love him. He is an actual liability on nights out, I swear. But he has, again, a very, very clear sense of what he's trying to do in the community. There is a reason why DeploymentZone.tv is called Deployment Zone and not Winters Plus or Winters Extra. And it's because he's like, no. This is a platform for the community, which I help push. It's not about me. It's about the things that we can push on this platform. Yeah. And he is always, like, if you look at the history of Deployment Zone, the things that Liam and Winters have done together, everything they do is community event, building a community in Discord, building a community through, you know, whatever means. Yeah. He's so community focused. He's one of the most positive driving forces in the community that you could possibly ever ask for. And I look at the things that he's done and I look at the things that he's doing, and I'm just like, yes, thank you for allowing me to be part of that. So yeah, I take a lot of inspiration from him. And then probably the 4th person I think that I take a lot of inspiration from is Adrian from Tabletop Titans. So I love Adrian. Yeah. He is absolute legend. And I was really lucky that I was able to meet him at so we all went to I don't know if you saw it, there's No Retreat Legends in Gibraltar. Yeah.
Followed that.
Oh my god. That was so cool. I had the best time ever. But so I got to meet him there and we really struck it off. He's a really great guy. And the way that he plays, I think, is an inspiration to everyone in the community. He's very much like Stephen Box, right? In that, like, Steve gets, you know, sportsmanship. You know how when you go to a competition, you get like sportsmanship points that your opponent allocates to you? Yes. Steve always gets very high sportsmanship points. Yeah. And so does Adrian. Right. Now, to put this into context as well, so Adrian, to No Retreat, he brought the most disgusting, meta, high-level, bleeding-edge, competitive list you could possibly imagine. It was the Orc Freebooters list with all the buggies and all the nastiness, and basically, if I put down my army opposite from this, I would be table turn 1. Right. And he brought that army and got the Player's Player Award.
Wow. Thanks for
every single one of his opponents went, he was a fantastic opponent. Wow. Now, to be the person that brings the disgusting list and for everyone to love you takes a very singular kind of person. And I think that kind of person is the kind of person we need more of in the community.
Wow.
So yeah, those are my people.
Good choices. Good choices. Yeah. Are you? I don't know if you're watching the actual feed live, Quipster, or not.
Dude, it was happening next to me.
I'm going to just switch it over now. Hopefully this works, everyone.
It usually does.
So hopefully this has worked.
Ooh. I am like, oh, that's one of mine.
Oh,
cool.
What a stunning model there, look. So yeah, we're just going to show off some of Quipster's work now. I've grabbed a few images, but obviously if you want to see these in more detail or more pictures anyway, then yeah, head over to the Instagram page, and if you're watching this later on YouTube, I'll link everything in the description anyway. So yeah, I've always loved this model anyway, and to be honest, I love what you've done with it, because those like the leathers, which actually Silver Paints has just said that leather. So yeah, I always enjoy painting like leather anyway, like with my AOS as well. Like there's a lot of that sort of material.
Oh yeah.
So I'm trying to get good at it, but yeah, this is just yeah, and we've got an oh wow in the chat as well. So
I actually still struggle with leather.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. I don't.
And damn, that's nice. We've got a damn, that's nice, and oh wow, and that leather exclamation. Oh. So there you go.
I will take it. I mean, to be honest, I've generally speaking found leather to be quite easy.
Right.
Just because I don't know if you're able to see it on camera. Hang on a sec. So I have this really old crap brush. I don't know if you can see that. It's there, and I cut the bristles off the top.
Right.
And basically, I just use that to stipple.
Cool. Yeah.
And so you just paint the whole thing brown, put a null oil wash in the recesses, and then on the highlights, just do a bit of stippling. Now, actually, I need to use. I got gifted by artists Opus their like dry brush range.
Yeah.
I need to start using those to stipple. But yeah, it's just about stippling on the highlights, and then on a couple of the very sharp edges, just doing a quick edge highlight. Yeah. And that's pretty much all I do.
I'm glad you said that, actually, because you got to shout them out, haven't you? The old the old artist Opus. Look, I keep telling everybody you got to get them. Like in my community, they're like, oh, but yeah, they're quite expensive, and no. I'm like,
no.
Look, I don't get anything from them, so like I'm not like endorsed to like say these things. I literally I pay for it, and it's like I do it because they're an amazing company with like amazing products. Like they're genuinely worth it. So yeah, Silver Paints Arts Opus is so worth it. So yeah. I used to 100%. Use like Winsor & Newton before this, and I tried them out, and I've not gone back since.
Yeah, I agree. I tried some Winsor & Newton Series 7 brushes, and I wasn't taken with them.
No.
In the same way. I think they were like too soft for me.
Well, what I found as well with them is like I'd get variation between like batch, if you know what I mean, like from one brush to another, like the same brush, like it wasn't consistent. But with the Artist Opus stuff, it's just you got the consistency there, and I think that like with any brush, like you treat them bad, they're not gonna last. You are gonna trash them, but like if you look after them, then they'll look after you, definitely.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I painted 4,000 points of Eldar using 2 brushes over the course of a year. And, I mean, by the end of that year, the brush I'd been using was an Artist Opus Series S size 1, was completely but it was amazing. Like, I got amazing edge highlights. It worked the whole way through. It was, I genuinely can't recommend.
I always wondered, was it just me, or did other people experience this too? When you find that brush, like the Artist Opus stuff for me, and it might be other brands for other people, but like, I painted my first miniatures with it. Like, I try this, I try that, and I'm actually looking at what the stuff I've just done. I'm like, I'm quite good. Like, like or that's because usually I'm like, it's all right, you know, it'll do, or that's the best I can do. And then I got these new brushes, and I'm like, what? Like, where's this come from? Like,
it's literally game changing.
Yeah, yeah.
I haven't had that moment yet.
Yeah, I urge anyone, even if you just go and buy like one of them just to try it out, it's like going to cost you about £10. I mean, like, what can you get in the hobby for like £10? Like,
I'd buy. Honestly, if you're going to get anything, I'd say get the size 0.
Yeah.
No, the size 00 and the size 1. I could paint anything with those 2 brushes.
Yeah. Yeah. So Dan in the chat says Rosemary & Co. Series 22 size 2. Not ever tried Rosemary & Co. to be honest, but
I've heard good things.
But yes. So this model, love the color scheme. Can I ask the base as well? That green tone. What's that? What's going on there?
So I wanted to go for sort of like a jade kind of tone because I saw a really interesting tutorial on Facebook, I think ages ago. And I was just like, yes, that looks really cool. I want that. And so it's literally all dry brushed. The bases I use are from Cyborg Miniatures, which is a Polish company.
Yes.
And I've got all the paints here. So first you do a base all over the model with Inky by Darkness. Then a wash with Nuln Oil. And then a dry brush of Cabalite Green. And then a dry brush of Sybarite Green. And then a very, 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 very light dry brush of Gorse Blaster Green.
Sorry, guys, you might have just lost me there a minute. But
there we are.
I'm happy because I've got all those paints, so I'm like, I can try this right away.
Yeah, it comes out so well, and it really contrasts really nicely with all the color schemes that I've got.
Yeah. So again, the chat spoke for me there about my feelings on that. So. Awesome. We just skip along. We've got a custody.
Oh, Trajan Valoris, love him.
So I don't know if you want to talk us through some things. Like the robes. I mean, that it's a tone that I've not seen. Like when I've painted like purples and things like that, it's always really like deep or like a royal purple, and that's kind of something that I might want to look at trying to achieve that tone.
So what I tend to find with the Games Workshop paints is that they're a little bit desaturated compared to a lot of other stuff, which is fine, which totally works.
Yeah.
And so what I've done here on the purple robes is it's a base of Naggaroth Night, a wash of Nuln Oil in the recesses, and then on the highlights, either wet blending or edge highlights of progressively lighter mixes of Naggaroth Night and white, going all the way up to essentially pink, or sort of more like a lilac. And so that's how I've done that particular purple.
Yeah.
But I will say, one of the things that's really kind of annoying me at the moment is how I've done gold on this particular model.
Right.
And I'm actually going to change that because, where is it? I'm going to start using these gold paints. I don't know if you can see that.
Liquid gold, I assume.
Yes, that's the one. And so for everyone out there who doesn't know what liquid gold is, it is an alcohol-based paint from Vallejo. And you can't use normal brushes. You can't water it down with water. You have to use pure alcohol because it's alcohol-based paint. And when you open it, you have to put some on the palette really quickly and then close it up again because the alcohol in the paint starts evaporating really quickly. It literally, you can see it boiling off. So it can be quite hard to work with, but
it is a solid metallic color. Like,
oh, it's so good.
The coverage on it is amazing.
Oh my god.
But Dan in the chat asked, how do you get that dark gold in the recesses? Washes? Question mark.
Yes. So I tend to have quite a dark gold that I do anyway. But on this particular model, some of it was by accident. So what I tend to do is Retribuce Armor with an Agrax Earthshade wash over the top. And on the legs, on his leg, and the bottom of sort of his tabard plate. It's obviously a lot darker, and the reason for that is because I spilt null oil on it by accident.
There we go. The top tip.
And so, yeah, that's what that is.
Yeah, Dan, so you got to spill null oil on your model, okay?
Yeah.
There's
awesome.
Some other things you could spill on it.
There'll be some images that there'll be. Yeah, we're not going into that, Rich. There'll be some pictures coming up now that will answer one of the questions that got asked on the Instagram post. So I don't know if it's the next one or not. Yeah, here we go. The question is, how are you so good at yellow?
That's a good question.
Boost the saturation when you post it on Instagram. No, I mean, I cheat. That's why I'm so good at yellow.
Okay.
So, if you look at this model, it's not as clear on this model in particular, but you can just about see it. The way I cheat when I paint Imperial Fists is a technique that I can't even remember who told me this, but they said only bother putting highlights on the bits of the model that your eye is drawn to. I was like, that's genius. And so what I do is I'll just go Wraithbone undercoat, and then over the top I'll just slap some ironed in yellow contrast on top, and then I'll get Flash Gets Yellow, and on the flat panels that your eyes are drawn to, I'll put 3 thin layers of Flash Gets Yellow.
Right.
Now, what that does is, contrast paints are rubbish at Space Marines. They're just crap because they pull on all the flat panels and they don't look good.
Yeah.
So what I've done is I've left all the recesses with the orange highlight from the ironed in yellow, and where it would have pooled, I've done the solid colors of the Flash Gets Yellow. It's yellow, so it takes a couple of coats, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at, say, the plate under his arm, his belt buckle, and his arms,
yes,
you'll see there's actually a lot of pooling. It's quite patchy.
Yeah.
But you don't see it.
No, now you're pointing it out. It's there, but I know what you mean.
Exactly.
Just want to say,
only ever.
Yeah, sorry. And I was just going to say hi to Megatron1993 in the chat, and thank you for the follow. That was
hello as well, Megatron. Yeah. But so basically, I only bother painting the bits of the model that your eye is drawn to, and those are the only bits that have highlights as well. Because, I mean, unless I point them out, you don't notice.
That's
the trick.
It's a great trick. And I want to say one thing. Thank you, Silver Paints, for the follow. And how come it took this long?
Terrible. You've been called out.
That's a finger. No.
Finger wag.
That's finger wag. Yeah. Really cool. Nice basing as well. Again.
I mean, it's one of those things that bases. One of the issues that I found with especially Space Marine characters is that they look exactly like troops choices. Like, it's quite hard to pick them out, especially like this lieutenant. There's actually not that much about him that stands out.
No.
Except his helmet, maybe, but you're not really going to see that in a mass of like 50 Marines.
Yeah.
So all my characters I put on raised bases. So the extra 3-dimensionality makes them easier to spot on the field.
It takes it to a whole new level, doesn't it? About the whole all Space Marine characters being stood on a rock.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Whole
new level. I see what you did there.
Yeah,
The problem I have with my Death Watch actually, because I mean they don't even have the helmet to distinguish them. They're just black with a silver arm.
Exactly.
That one's the captain.
So I'll forgive Silver Paint. She says, sorry that I'm actually a one and only Twitch follow. She made the account 30 minutes ago. So I guess that's thank you then. Thank you for that. I take back the
She's lying. Don't forgive her.
No. So I think there's a couple of pictures here in this reel of some Imperial Fist stuff because of how awesome it looks. So I grabbed off a few images. So this was one that jumped out at me.
Oh, yeah, the Gladiator. So the reason why I have this Gladiator in the first place is because I was chatting with my friend Ed, the Sandman, who's on the Conclave podcast.
Yeah.
And he was basically like, dude, like, this was the beginning of the year. He was like, yo, dude, you need to get your Imperial Fist on the table. Why don't you just buy some tanks just to get the points up really quickly?
Yeah.
It's like, that is a great idea. So, yeah, I bought 2 Gladiators and a Repulsor Executioner, and still haven't painted one of the Gladiators. And, yeah, so ended up with this. But I will say, painting tanks for me was quite a challenge, because obviously I am in no way ever going to paint a tank with contrast paints.
No.
Like, you couldn't pay me to do that. So I needed a way of replicating the contrast paint scheme on a tank.
Right.
And so the way I ended up doing that was I used a technique from Goobertown Miniatures, Goobertown Hobbies. Basically, what he did was I undercoated with Wraithbone, and then over the top, in all the shadows, I've got this little rubbish airbrush, which is mainly used for like cake decorating.
Right.
So I just use that, and it's good for just simple shading and base coats. And in all the areas of the model that would be in the shadows,
yeah,
I put pink. What pink did I use? I used Screamer Pink. That's
right.
it. And so what happens with Screamer Pink is that once you airbrush Flash Gets Yellow over the top of that, it turns orange, just like the recesses from Ironed in Yellow.
Awesome.
So,
that's a hobby tip. That's a hobby tip right there.
Yeah, man.
Anyone want to do that?
So, yeah. But I don't have an airbrush.
It's honestly, I know it's such a cliche thing to say, but like having an airbrush levels you up as a hobbyist to no end, because even if you're just base coating with it, the amount of models you can base coat all at once goes from like 6 to 100 in the same amount of time. It's crazy.
I had
if you have a lot of models, it's just so worth it.
I had one and I actually got rid of mine.
Really?
Yeah, I learned it. I used it to learn like a certain way of painting. So I really wanted to like level up and paint in an airbrush style with a brush. So I did like I've got pictures of it, but I did an Eldar Wave Serpent, and I airbrushed one side, and then painted by hand the other side.
Okay, interesting.
And tried to get them to look like the whole thing was done the same way.
How did that go?
Quite well, I think.
Awesome.
I can.
That's
a tough thing to do.
The green wave serpent, isn't it?
Yeah.
I did not realise you'd done that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, Vinny.
Yeah. So Megatron's put the tank looks cool. I'm kind of still a novice, but I dabble in Warhammer models. Oh well, that's cool. That's cool. Is there anything you're working on at the moment? Let us know. You know, do you play? Do you want to end up playing? Is it Warhammer 40k or AOS or? Yeah, let us know. Yeah. So talk us through Vinny.
So this is Vinny the Vindicar Assassin. I would like to point out I called him Vinny before anyone else thought to call their Vindicar Assassin Vinny. I have to say this for copyright reasons. But yeah, so basically my whole thinking behind this was I really like the sort of like green jade aesthetic on my like HQ models. So I was like, yeah, okay, I'll replicate this on Vinny.
Yeah.
And what I wanted was, you know, the active camo effect from like Predator.
Yeah.
So I tried to replicate that on him, and so you can see it creeping up the gun.
Yeah.
The active camo effect.
I love that effect.
Now,
yeah.
Oh,
it's great.
Yeah, it's so good. My issue with it though is that it's actually creeping up his chest and his body as well. And so I spent ages like highlighting his pecs and like doing that like line of active camo going up his body. And then I remembered that the gun covers his entire chest. I was like, oh,
got to.
yeah, so that was really annoying. But my idea for this was that if you looked at him from a certain angle, he'd be invisible. And that's why half of him is green and the other half isn't, because only half of him is in front of the green pillar and the other half isn't. So it's like reflecting
that's cool.
Whatever battle scene is going on behind him.
That's really cool.
So
yeah,
that was the thinking there. And I got to say, the Vindicar Assassin has always been my favorite model ever. Every incarnation.
You looking forward to the new one, the one that comes with Warhammer Plus?
Oh yeah, that is the most beautiful model I have ever seen.
I don't know anyone that said they want the Auroch. I mean,
I know, right?
Everyone said, even like me, like I am like AOS, like through and through. Yeah, like my 40k at the moment is so minimal. But when I got the option, I'm like, Vindicar Assassin, yes please.
Yep.
If I want the Auroch, I'll just buy it separately. But the one that I want free, I want to make sure I get is that Vindicar.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I actually committed as well. So I'm painting my one that I'm getting, and Katie from Tabletop Tactics is a very close friend of mine, and she was like, "Oh, can you paint mine too?" I was like, "Yeah, okay, cool. I will absolutely do that." And that is.
So yeah, what I think we're gonna do now, guys, I'm just gonna close on the YouTube recording and carry on Twitch with you guys in the chat, if that's all right with Quipster.
It is absolutely
fine with me.
I demand.
I will edit. I will edit that for you to say yes. That's absolutely fine. So if anyone's watching this, back on YouTube and Quipster's voice changed slightly, then that answer, he had a bit of a catch in his throat, and it's fine. He's absolutely fine.
The Alexa robot voice, just like, yes, that is fine.
Yeah. Your mouth went out of sync as well, so it's all good. Cool. Well, it's been amazing having you on. Thank you for talking us through like some of the paint jobs that you've done and some of the tips. I think I'm definitely taking away with me, like invaluable stuff. And if you'll come back on, we'd love to have you back on at some point in the new year.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds great.
Cool. Right, so I guess, so all of your social media stuff I will link in the description. So go make sure you go and follow and do all that stuff. And YouTube guys, thanks for watching and we'll see you again soon. Happy hobby all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.